Hey guys, hey! Guys, gals, girls, and everything in between. I'm here at the Dunedin Causeway. I'm in my I was gonna say my hometown, but I didn't grow up here, but it's where I raised Noah. I'm in Pinellas County. I came to check on the house and do things that I needed to do there, and I love driving. So it was a 3-hour drive, but I love driving and having the time to. It's like the one thing I can do where I really don't feel disabled, right? Like my arm is not a thing in driving, and then listening to music and feeling all the feels, meditating, talking to God, all the things. I was like not doing well yesterday. I was really sitting in the fumes of it all. And like asking the questions, right? Like, what's here for me? What else is available? What's underneath this? And feeling so justified in my fury. Like, I kept getting the visual of, think like The Ring, you know, the horror movie The Ring meets The Exorcist girl meets like Dragon. And like, I felt so alive in that anger. And I'm like, well, what else? So I was with it until it was like uncomfortable. Like, okay, Thelma, like, what are you doing here? This is an old pattern too. What else is available here? And I pulled some cards. Well, first my friend pulled a card for me that was it was funny too, because I was sitting outside and I was watching something crawl around in the dark, and I turned the light on and I couldn't see what it was. It was either a beetle or like a water roach, and I hate roaches. Like, I just with roaches. So, but then it went underneath in between and I couldn't make out what it was. So I don't know if it was a roach or if it was a beetle. But then she pulls a card for me, and it's the like armored beetle. It's some sacred beetle. I can't think of the name of it, but it's like the Egyptian beetle. And it was talking about like armoring yourself when you've peeled back so many layers and are feeling so vulnerable, to use the armor of the beetle, right? And to build up the strength from the inside so that you don't need the armor of the beetle, right? So I was like, oh, that's so on point. And I was like, ugh, like, what is this? I gotta move this from my body. And the massage was not great. It didn't really, like, I was really hoping for like a release, but I actually feel like it kinked up my arm more, which is kind of interesting, because I've been just sitting with the pain in my arm. It almost feels like around a little further up from the elbow area. It feels like, you know, when you have like a shirt on that's like squeezing and cutting off the circulation from, that's what it's been feeling like all day. And I've just been with it, right? Like, I can't even massage it with my other hand to like work it out. This is the most I could do. There's a little pain here, I like massage that, but other than that, I just have to be with the pain. And I think that's what I was like okay with being in the anger, but then I didn't want to be with the pain of it. Like, why am I really so angry? So yes, you know, I was doing my studying. I'm studying to get licensed in infinite bank concepts, this life insurance. It's like how you use the life insurance. It's not like just traditional life insurance. And I'm like studying for that, and I'm like, okay, distract, focus on these things, put the shield, do a little meditation. And then my friend Kim Louise Morrison, look her up on YouTube. She does Qigong, and she made like a 10-minute Qigong thing, because I was like, they were hour longs, and I was like, oh, Kim, I really want to do this. Can you do like a 10-minute one, like a short one? And she tagged me that she created one just for me, and I was like, yay! And just the big up that she gave me, you know, of how she sees me, it was just really heartfelt, and I was like, okay, I'll come back to that. So I was super grateful, and I was like, let me do a little bit of this qigong, move this energy, and it wasn't clearing. Like, I was still feeling like antsy, anxious, frustrated, angry, avoiding pain. I was like, I'm just gonna have a cigarette. I love cigarettes, and I'm gonna go have one. I went out and bought myself a pack. That's when I was sitting outside, and I took 3 drags, and I felt like I was gonna vomit, and I was like, okay, like, this isn't it anymore. These old coping mechanisms are not it anymore. So what else? And now I'm like in prayer, like, God, help me through this. Like, what is here for me? Like, what direct me? And then I was feeling bad about, like, the things that I said while I was angry, or even the things that I was thinking while I was angry. And I got the hit to pull one of my Divine Feminine cards. Well, 4 of them it ended up being. But the one that really, like, I felt it inside was Rabia. She's like a Sufi goddess, a Muslim. You know, she worships Allah, and her story goes that she was a slave, and she was always worshiping Allah just for the love of worshiping God. And when the king saw her and how she was so dedicated to her prayers, and that whenever she would pray, she would light up, she'd become illuminated, he called her a saint, and he released her. And then she went off into the desert to be by herself, and she spent her life, like, praying to God just for the sake of prayer, just for the sake of the love of God. And, like, something cracked open in me a little bit, and I was like, oh, I wasn't loving just for the sake of loving. I wasn't giving, right? Is another shell, another piece of that codependency. Like, I was doing this for something, and I didn't get what I wanted to get out of it, and now I feel justified in the wrath, right? And I get to feel powerful in this wrath. And I was like, oh, what it would be like to love just for the sake of love. Am I even capable of that? Can I do that? Can I just love for love's sake? With nothing, not having any expectation, not having any desire for anything back. Like, can I? And I felt so small. So I asked Rabia to be with me while I went to sleep. And it was like, my prayer was like, if I could just have a little bit of this. And if that little seed could be in there where I could be strong enough or holy enough, I don't even know what to call it, to just love for the sake of love, for loving. Anyways, I woke up and I was like still in the ick of it and wanting to still feel justified, right? And right about how I feel, and I was like, all right, God, like, what else is here? I know there's more to unravel. And I got the hit to reach out to my friend Mira. I love Mira so much. She is such a jewel in this world, and just from the moment, she was one of my first friends when I moved to Sedona. And I was like fresh out of New York, right, in Sedona. She's my first yogini friend. Actually, her mother, Rama, God bless her, may she rest in peace, is one of the OG yoginis. Rama was one of the people that first brought yoga and the Vedas and the teachings to America. So, you know, growing up in that, you can imagine. I mean, she's full of wisdom. And I reached out and I was like, hey, do you have time to talk today? And she's like, yeah, no problem. And we always, she's nomadic too. So she's always driving somewhere. I'm always driving somewhere. It's like, this has been our theme for the past 15 years. So great. I'm like psyched, stoked. I'm going to speak to her. And she knows me. She knows me. And she knows. She knows. I could be fully myself with her. And when you find people in this world that you can really get naked with, you know, like expose all your, those are real blessings, right? So we get on the phone and I'm like, bleh! I this and that, and I'm angry and the rage and I just feel like I know you have wisdom about this, and maybe there's like, you know what I really wanted her to tell me was that, like, go on girl, be rageful, like there's some sort of divinity in the rage, which there is, but we're gonna shelf that. She's like, well, thumbs, in her cutie voice, she's like, we already know you're powerful in that way. The question would be like, well, what's underneath there? And I don't want to go. Like, I want to go because that's what I do. That's right. That's what I'm here for. Let's go. But I was like, ugh, I just wanted to be like justified in the rage, right? And she's like, and you know, we've she says, we already know that, you know, one of your core samskaras, which is funny because I was talking about samskaras with another friend, and this samskara essentially is like a deep wound, which ends up becoming a lens in which you view life. At least that's how I understand it. Look it up yourself, you may have a different understanding of it. So she's like, well, we know that's one of your core samskaras, and the strength is in the vulnerability. And I swear I like puked in my mouth a little bit. I was like, fucking vulnerability. Vulnerability, man. Fucking vulnerability. That's what this purge is for, right? Vulnerability. To put it out there, you know, to not pretend, to show what it is, to share so intimately that people know that, like, it's human, bro. There's no getting around it. Like, no matter how much work you do, no matter if you're here on earth, the gunk is a part of it. And pretending and acting like, oh, but it's also is not it. And, you know, she continued to talk to me about it. And all right. She said about the vulnerability, and I forgot exactly what she was referring to, but she started talking about the deep prayer to God where you surrender. She said you're not alone, because the samskara is I'm alone. That's like my never-ending story. I'm alone, I can't rely on anybody, and nobody really loves me, nobody really cares. And she was like, and you know, Thumbs, you're not alone. You have God, and you have a deep faith in God. And sometimes when we have faith in God, we don't understand why the things are the way they are, and we just sit with them. And whatever this monster ring exorcist dragon thing that was like rah in me, just like deflated. It just completely like I can't even see it anymore, you know, like my demon's gone. She went back to sleep. Everything, it was like wave the white flag and like bow down, like, yeah, sometimes I don't understand. And am I willing to trust and love God enough to be okay with what is as it is, knowing that it's in my greatest good, even if I don't understand it? And that shit broke me open. Because I really want to be, right? I want to be so badly. Like, I want to be Rabia who just prays for the sake of loving God. And I'm not, you know. She said, Rabia, I don't even know if I'm saying her name right, so forgive me if I'm not. She says, to love God, not because you're scared of punishment, and to love God, not because you're looking for a reward, just for the joy of loving God. And I'm like, wow. Oh, to be that saintly. An aspiration of sorts. The seed is planted. So in all that, I was like talking with my soul today. One of the classes I was listening to from occult school today, which is interesting because she gave birth last night and was doing Kriya with us today, right? Talk about setting the fucking bar. And it was a free birth at home, no doctors, just her husband, and she got 2 little kids running around. This bitch gave birth and was there 11 in the morning today doing Kriya with us. That shit is commitment. I was like, what? You know, like, that shit is dope. And she gave birth, right? Like, it's a birthing time. Anyways, in that, I was listening to one of her classes today that spoke about, it was talking about the voices inside, like being able to differentiate what is soul voice and what is ego voice. But it was a really long class, so we talked about like the ray of creation, planets. I mean, it was a lot. And it was like, you know how you get to know your soul? Ask what the joyous things are that you want to do. Like, ask, hey soul, what do you want to wear? Hey soul, what do you want to eat? And that's a practice that I've been practicing, but under different wording, right? And this is what I love. Like, the message is the message is the message. Whether it's in Catholic terms, Christian terms, Judaic terms, Kabbalistic terms, landmark terms, the message is the message is the message, right? So she was talking about like tapping in and feeling the contraction when it's not aligned and the expansion when it is aligned, or some people say the light or the heavy, right? So I was like playing with that, and I was like, what would be like a wonderful thing to do today? What would bring me so much joy to do today? And I was like, well, I love driving and listening to music and consciousness. Like, I eat consciousness candy. Consciousness is my shit, right? So I got to do that. And then I was like, oh, and what do I want to do when I get to Clearwater? And I wanted to do this. So I'm going to show you guys. Hold on. So this is the Dunedin Causeway. I raised my son on this little causeway. Well, and then there's like a bigger beach down the road, Honeymoon Island. But I wanted to be here. And I wanted to do my video here. And I got myself some food from Frenchie's Outpost. And I'm going to sit here and I'm going to be with the water and with the sun. And with life being perfect as it is in all moments. Just as it is. I'm not trying to fix it or change it. Just be with it as it is. So, I feel like there was something else. It's not meant to be said today. Yeah, it's gone. If it's meant to be, it'll come up again tomorrow. Thank you for witnessing me. It reminds me of like this thing in Landmark that was like, my life does not belong to me. Right? My hopes is in and I say this and I'll keep sharing it. I'm going to keep saying it. Is that my showing you my heart lets you know that you're not alone in it. We're all going through it. it's just part of being human. Being human is a beautiful, ecstatic, sometimes rageful experience. And I'm not alone. I'm surrounded by so much beauty, people, places. My life is pretty spectacular when I'm not stuck in the little me. When I'm not complaining about not getting what I want when I want how I want it, when I'm not being bratty. I can really see that. And I'm grateful for the friends that I have that throw me the lifesaver when I feel like I'm drowning a little bit. Because I don't know what I don't know, and sometimes I know more than I think I know, and sometimes I need reminders, and it's a beautiful, chaotic mess. So thank you for witnessing me. Bye.